Hello, and welcome to another day on the channel. My name is RNGesus, and today we'll be doing one last Historic Artisan event for the Midweek Magic this week. Today, we'll be doing a counter attack deck, which is basically a plus and counters deck. And it runs a bunch of plus and counter synergies, proliferate, and some stuff like that. So, let's start off with our 1-drops. We have a Star Pupil that enters battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and when it dies, puts its counters on target creature you control. So we can just put a bunch of counters onto it, and then if it dies, we can just move them on to the next creature. So a great way to dodge removal. Then we have Servant of the Scale that does a similar effect, just in green. And we have a Tenacious Pup. This enters battlefield, gains 1 life. When you cast your next creature spell, it enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter, trample counter, and vigilance counter. So a bunch of counters, and notably, Star Pupil doesn't specify what counters it moves, so it can move all the counters, including the trample and vigilance. But Servant of the Scale does specify only +1/+1 counters, so sadly, you can only move the +1/+1 counters from that instead of the vigilance and trample as well. But it's still a very good include. We also run 4 Wildwood Scourges because this creature gets out of hand very fast. It basically says whenever a +1/+1 counter is put on another creature you control besides a card named Wildwood Scourge, put a +1/+1 counter on Wildwood Scourge. So this can get out of hand very fast by just having a few creatures that have +1 counters, or have a board with creatures with counters on them and proliferating. We also have 4 Einok Bondkins to give our creatures first strike. We have Perish Blade Trainee that is similar to Star Pupil as it doesn't specify, but it also has training and is a 2-drop. And we have a Pollen Bright Druid, enters battlefield, choose 1, put a +1 counter on target creature, or proliferate. We're most of the time going to choose the proliferate mode, unless we don't have many creatures on board, which then we'll choose the +1 counter mode. Then we have 2 Song of Freyalise. This is a kind of way to help dump our hand out, followed by a way to pump our entire board and swing in for free. This is a great include. We don't want to run too many of them just because they do worse in multiples, but 2 of them is perfect amount. Then we have 4 Arcus Acolytes, which has Reach, Lifelink, Outlast for Selesnya, and each other creature you control without a +1/+1 counter on it has Outlast. So we're basically able to, if we have a creature with not a +1 counter, like Tenacious Pup or Pollen Bright Druid, then we can use Arcus Acolyte to give them counters. And also the lifelink helps a lot in a race. We're also running 4 Conclave Mentors to help pump up the amount of +1/+1 counters that we're giving. And we run 2 Good Fortune Unicorns as our 3-drops because it can help pump our board very fast. And like any creature that enters the battlefield, extra +1/+1 counter. And triggers Wildwood Scourge a bunch. Then we have an even split of lands, 8 plains, 8 forests, and 4 Blossoming Sands as fixing. That is the deck. If you enjoy the content I make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if there are any decks that you want me to make. And without further ado, let's get into games and see how the deck does. Alright, on the play, this hand is strange, but I think we can keep. Wildwood Scourges get worse in multiples, just for the fact that they care about non-Hydra creatures. But I think it's still a keepable hand. And a cool thing you can do with Tenacious Pup is you can cast Tenacious Pup, and then cast Wildwood Scourge for 0, and it'll still enter as a 1/1 because of the +1/+1 counter that it gets. Conclave Mentor. Pretty good, pretty good. We'll cast our first Wildwood Scourge, or do we cast Conclave Mentor? Let's lead off with the Mentor. Then next turn we can Wildwood Scourge, then Wildwood Scourge, and Wildwood Scourge. They cast a Maned Serval, maybe like a high toughness style deck. We will play a land, cast a Tenacious Pup, and give our Wildwood Scourge Trample and Vigilance, along with being big. So it is a 3/3. Any +1/+1 counter we can find to give onto a non-Wildwood Scourge would be amazing. Arcus Acolyte would probably be our best draw. They cast a Staggering Insight. That can't get past our Wildwood Scourge just yet. So they just pass. We'll play a land and cast Wildwood Scourge for 3. And it's a 4/4. Pass the turn. Hopefully they don't have the cartouche that gives flying. That would be bad for us. Spontaneous Flight. Yeah, that's a thing. Giving +2/+2 and a flying counter. Yikes. And the lifelink and card... I mean, on the plus side, they've... Okay, Arcus Acolyte. Wasn't I just talking about this? Yeah, Arcus Acolyte. Best draw we could have had. Outlast. Counters. Outlast. Counters. Swing in for 11. 15. Don't mind if I do. Just a casual 15. Nothing too crazy. Yeah. This is fun. So we have an 8/8, a 7/7, and they have a Griffin Airy. That's an interesting one. At the beginning of your end step, if you've gained 3 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 white Griffin creature token with flying. So that can just, if they have any way to pump this by 1 more, they can create a 3/3. Do they have a way to gain 1 extra life for the Griffin Airy? They might not. Okay. Then we can just cast Wildwood Scourge. Okay, they just gain 4 life with Light of Hope. Tenacious Pup. Cast this for 2. And Outlast. Trigger all of the Wildwood Scourges. Swing in for 19. They have to block the big Wildwood Scourge. And they take 9. Pass the turn. I love fair magic, don't you? These are just commons and uncommons. What could possibly go wrong? Sorry, just uncommons, actually. Our board is filled with uncommons. They play a Sentinel's Eyes, so now main Serval can keep creating 3/3s every turn. Draw a card. Do you have anything else? Because if not, you're pretty dead. Okay, Banishing Light. You can exile 1 Wildwood Scourge, but not all of them. And Servant of the Scale. Get some counters. Outlast. Get some counters. Do we swing with everything here or just Outlast? They can chump block. They'll have to chump block with their main Serval right now. Yeah, they're just dead on board. We can swing with everything. They'll have to block the Trampler with their main Serval, but they're still dead. GG's. Hit him with a good game. And on to the next one. On the draw, this hand's unkeepable with only 1 land. This is better. We might just put away a Wildwood Scourge. Yeah, let's put away 1 Wildwood Scourge. We already have 2 others. Play a tap land, pass the turn. Ah, Rat Colony deck. So the goal against this deck is just to make sure they don't have enough rats to do much. So let's Tenacious Pup. Wildwood Scourge for 0. So if they offer a trade with a rat colony, we accept it. No questions asked. Block. Land. Wildwood Scourge for 1. Servant of the Scale. No attacks, pass a turn. Another rat colony. Another rat colony. Accept the trade. No questions asked. Counter here. Cast Song of Freylies. Cast Perish Blade Trainee. Cast Star Pupil. Grow the Wildwood Scourges. Pass the turn. Another rat colony. Another rat colony. Accept trades with glee. Counter on Big Scourge. Make it bigger. Better. Tenacious Pup. Swing for 5. Keeping them off rats is best, because rat colonies are just overpriced 2/1s. Or not overpriced, but like weak 2-mana 2/1s. They don't do anything without other rat colonies. So it's best just to trade off with them early. Rat colony. Pass. Pump my board. Swing. Blossoming Sands, and pass a turn. Rat colony. And a land in hand. They can't even attack. Conclave Mentor. Enter with a counter. 7 counters. Swing with everything. Even if they top deck a rat colony, it can't save them. GG's. Yeah, just keeping them off of rat colony is the best strategy against playing rat colony, or playing against it. On to the next game. On the draw, this hand's keepable. We can lead off with Star Pupil. Actually, we'll lead off with Servant. Let's lead off with Servant, just in case we draw Tenacious Pup, because then we can put the counters on the Star Pupil. Just the small, meaningful plays. They lead off with a Jungle Hollow, so they might be like a black-green sacrifice deck, or possibly a ramp deck. They play an Undead Butler. Ah, so they're a self-mill deck. Hey, speak of the devil. Tenacious Pup. Play a Wildwood Scourge. No attacks. Pass the turn. They play a Forest. Interesting deck. They play a Tangled Florahedron into a Death Bonnet Sprout. That's actually scary. Well, Tenacious Pup. Star Pupil. Actually, maybe we should cast Bonkin there. But I think we'd rather get the tap lane out of the way. And pass the turn. Yeah, we probably should have Bonkin there. They play a Molgraph Millipede, milling a Brambleworm. So it's a 6/6. That's fine-ish. We will double block the Death Bonnet Hulk. If they want to kill the Star Pupil, we can put the counters on the Wildwood Scourge, and then they are in trouble. Yep. Counters on the Scourge. Now has Vigilance and Trample. We will cast Bonkin. Perish Blade. No attacks, and pass the turn. This Arcus Acolyte is looking super good right now, although Molgraph Millipede on their end does not help when it's a 10/10. Chump block with Servant. Eat the Undead Butler. They can get back another Molgraph Millipede. They are big creatures. Oh, they get a Dreadhound. That's fine. Put the counter on Wildwood Scourge. Play a Tenacious Pup. Cast an Arcus Acolyte. Give it all the counters. And Outlast with the Bondkin. Grow the Wildwood Scourge. No attacks. Pass the turn. This Wildwood Scourge is definitely going to get out of hand for them very fast if they don't have removal. They cast a Crooked Custodian. They're missing double black for Dreadhound. So I was a little confused about that, so I thought maybe that black mana in hand. They should have just gotten back the Molgraph Millipede. They don't even swing. Surprising. We'll cast a Wildwood Scourge. How much? Let's cast Wildwood for 3. Just start getting up there in the world. No attacks, and pass a turn. The second Wildwood Scourge is definitely going to help. So we're going to next turn start outlasting all of our creatures. Outlast. Or when in Rome, just spitting out Wildwood Scourges like crazy. And most of my board has First Strike, so they can't even swing with the Millipede. They draw a green source, not a black source for Dreadhound. Never punished, hooray! Outlast. And start leveling up these Wildwood Scourges. Of note, you do want to have your triggered abilities like this, order triggers, on. Because when you have a Good Fortune Unicorn out in play and you cast a Pollen Bright Druid, it will make it so the Pollen Bright Druid proliferate goes first, so you won't be able to proliferate onto the Pollen Bright Druid. Which definitely sucks a lot. Leveling up. Grow, grow, grow. Grow, grow, grow. And do we swing? They have like a trick, this would be bad. Just pass. Or just swing. Chump blocking won't work because it has a trample counter. But I guess they might want another creature in graveyard. They gain some life, and they found their next black source, but little too late. Pollen Bright. Hey. Well, I guess they're dead. They might be dead. They're probably dead. Look at all those beautiful triggers. They just concede. Fair. GG's. On to the next game. On the play against LBJ Show, this looks like a fine hand. We'll turn one Tenacious Pup. Pup into Pollen Bright. Or Pup into Pup doesn't seem bad. It's not an amazing play either. I mean, it's more creatures for Pollen Bright to proliferate onto, so this is fine. So is it spells? Probably Snow for Frostbite. Cast the Bonkin. Give it some counters. Have some first strike. Pass the turn. Next turn, we can Star Pupil and Proliferate. They might have foretold, like, Behold the Multiverse to get some card advantage. If it's Crush the Weak, will be pretty sad. Hey, Crush the Weak. Now I'm sad. Nice job, opponent. Oh, Conclave Mentor. Now I'm happy. You're fine, opponent. You're dead, probably. I got Conclave Mentor online. Teferi's Tutelage is like a mill deck. Looks to be mill themed. Mill Tenacious Pup and Arcus Acolyte. We'll cast a Good Fortune Unicorn. Swing for 6. And no more Crush the Weeks, please. Thank you very much. A Ruin Crab. So this is Izzet Mill. Why are they playing Reconnaissance Mission? Seems pretty strange in a mill deck. Oh, no. Draw 4, mill 8. Yeah, clock's a ticking. They milled a lot of good stuff. Now, here's a question. Do we cast Good Fortune Unicorn number 2? Of course we do! Give it a counter. Swing. I mean, we could have killed them, probably. Like, Proliferate gives 4/4, 4/4. But what's the fun in that? What's the fun in just killing them? You have to toy with your food sometimes. Think that they have a chance at winning. And then crush them under your feet as they feel the pain and anguish of a loss. They can keep trying to mill, but in the end, it was never enough. Improbable Alliance is pretty cool, though. Into Merfolk Wind Robber. They can cantrip to get the fairy. Gust of Wind. Fine, you don't want to be fun then. Then you perish. Pollen Bright Druid. And this is the problem that you face when playing this deck. You have to order the triggers correctly, unlike what I did. Because now Good Fortune Unicorn is going to be after, and when we proliferate, we can't proliferate onto our Pollen Bright Druid. So you have to watch out for that. And they concede. GG's, on to the next game. On the play, this hand looks pretty good. We'll keep. We'll lead off with Blossoming Sands. And how do we want to order casting our spells? Let's lead off with Conclave Mentor or Wildwood Scourge. Let's Wildwood Scourge. Get that creature growing. They play an All-Side of Life's Bounty, so they might be an Enchantress style deck. They play Plains into a Hallowed Priest. So a Lifegain deck, actually. Hopefully we can outsize that. Cast a Tenacious Pup into Conclave Mentor or Bondkin. I think I like Bondkin just to give the first strike now. Swing for 2. And hopefully next turn we draw an untapped land for Conclave Mentor. And Pollen Bright Druid. If not, a Servant of the Scale or any of our 1-drops would look great. They play a Celestial Unicorn. Servant of the Scale, perfect. Ask and you shall receive. Thank you, game. Servant of the Scale. Swing and swing. They chump block with Yalsade and take 3, and we pass. They don't even gain any life because of First Strike. Thank you, Bondkin, so their creatures don't grow. And next turn we can Pollen Bright, pump the board, or pump 3 of our creatures. GG's, they just concede it there. On to the next game. Magic is so fun, right? When everything's balanced, everything's fair. Don't you just love it? On the draw, this hand looks fine. We can turn 1 Blossoming Sands, turn 2 Arkham's Astral Acolyte. Arcus Acolyte. I almost said Arkham's Astrolabe, like the card from Modern Horizons. They play a Sprite Dragon, which is not the greatest sign. Let's go Arcus Acolyte. Like, we could have went Servant, Star Pupil. That would have been fine. But I think we'd rather save all of those creatures for Good Fortune Unicorn. They just pass. Land, move to combat, swing for 2. They take it. And we'll cast a Good Fortune Unicorn. So they don't have any cantrips in hand. Good to know. Hopefully no removal either. It's just a unicorn, man. You don't have to worry about it. Kill the Acolyte. Yeah, the Acolyte's the scary card. No! Rude. So rude. All we wanted was some good fortune. Just a bit of luck. Is that too much to ask? Well, thy shall be punished for thy crimes. With a Conclave Mentor. Followed by a Star Pupil. Followed by Outlasting. Next turn, Song of Freyalise can help dump out our hand. They did draw an Op, though, so cantrip. Omnises, how foreshadowing. Now I have an interesting thing to do, mix Magic and D&D with. Just, like, grab a bunch of random cards from a random set, and then make a D&D adventure out of that. I wonder how my players would like that. I'm sure one of them's watching right now, and like, oh, please, God, no. We'll cast Song of Freyalise. Star Pupil. Servant of the Scale. Do we Outlast this? Or cast We'll Outlast. And swing for 4 lifelink. Pass a turn. Omnises grows into and they cast an Improbable Alliance. Hopefully no more cantrips. Cloud Conceer, that's a cantrip, even though it's not on an instant or sorcery. They already create a 1/1, and Omnises has 8 foreshadow counters. Neat. And we draw a land. Well, we'll play land, or we'll play Servant of the Scales. And we will Outlast. And pass the turn. Next turn, there are gonna be fireworks. They create a Kraken. Improbable Alliance, number 2. Fairies don't do much when everything tramples. And also has Vigilance, plus encounters, and Indestructible. Oh, that's their turn. Cool. If they aren't careful, they're just dead. Yeah. They hold back the Kraken. Smart move, but not good enough. We're going to take 10, go down to 2. But that is fine. Land, swing. They have 8, 9, 10, 11 toughness for 8, 14, 18, 22, 30 damage. So they don't have enough toughness to survive. Good game. Song of Fraley's for the win! Yeah, they see they're dead as well. Good game. On to the next game. This hand looks promising. We'll play tap land turn 1. And turn 2, we'll just dump out some 1-drops. That way Song of Fraley's can create as much mana as possible. So we can dump out our hand. They play a red land, which is worrying for the fact that they might be an aggro deck. But we can out-aggro an aggro deck. As they play a Raging Goblin. If you're not familiar, it's just a 1/1 with haste. That's it. Nothing special. We'll lead off with actually a Wildwood Scourge now that we drew that. Because next turn we can Star Pupil, Servant of the Scale, grow Wildwood Scourge. And if we draw an untapped land, Conclave Mentor, cast either of these. And we'll be able to pump Wildwood Scourge by a bunch. And then start pumping even more, and more, and then they die! So they're just goblins. With only 2 1-drops. We take 1. Cool, untap land. Conclave Mentor. Star Pupil. Grow the Wildwood Scourge, and swing for 3. Imagine mono red getting out aggroed by just some green white stuff. Who could have thought? They play a mountain. Raid Bombardment. This must be like a starter deck upgraded. Yeah, I kind of feel bad. But not bad enough to just let them win. Oh, you think I have mercy? No, no, no. I pity my enemies that I crush. Otherwise, I just am sad and lose. They cast a Genasi Rabble-Rouser. Song of Fraley's goes to the next chapter. We'll move to combat. Swing with the Scourge. And they can chump block if they want. Pumping doesn't do anything. Song of Fraley's level up is gonna be sweet. They take 5, and we pass a turn. So they're dead next turn. Even if they find a removal spell. Because if they kill Wildwood Scourge, we'll pump everything else into 4/4s. If they kill Conclave Mentor, Wildwood Scourge is going to grow giant, and we can still swing in for a bunch of trample damage. Yeah, not sure how our OPs can get out of this one. They conjure a Rabble-Rouser into their hand. And we'll just take 1. We're fine with that. Run amok, sure. Another run amok? Cute. Song of Fraley's goes up, and a lot of triggers from Wildwood Scourge. Swing, GG's. Just negative 22. On to the next game. This hand's looking promising. Sadly, Tenacious Pup says he enters with a counter, not put a counter, so it will enter the battlefield with a +1 encounter before it can give itself the bonus of a +1 encounter, so that's a little sad. But we'll lead off with Tenacious Pup. And they raise the alarm, so they look to be like mono white aggro. We'll cast Conclave Mentor. It is a 3/3. And they concede to Conclave Mentor. Wow. Surprising. On to the next game, I guess. This hand looks fine. Any creature turns his hand into gas. And even if worse comes worse, we can just cast Pollen Bright Druid and put a counter on itself. Start triggering these Wildwood Scourges. They duress, but miss. You fool. We don't have anything. We are solely creatures. We only run 2 non-creatures. Song of Freyalise. Move to combat. Swing for 1. Wildwood Scourge number 2. Blossoming Sands. Pass the turn. Next turn we can Servant of the Scale and Pollen Bright Druid proliferate. Ah, black-red goblins. I like your style. I think I still have a Artisan Goblin deck. They go find a Putrid Goblin. Sure thing. We'll cast Star Pupil since we have more white mana now. Into Pollen Bright Druid. Proliferate. Wildwood Scourges grow. Swing for 8. Casual 8 damage, turn, what is this, 3? Yeah. Maybe it was 4, I don't remember. Yeah, this is turn 3. Oh, a Conclave Mentor, how neat. Conclave Mentor into Servant of the Scale. Counters on the Scourges. Swing with everything. We're even willing to trade away the Pollen Bright Druid. Deadly Dispute, sure thing. Is there a way to go infinite with common uncommons and Putrid Goblin? No, there isn't. They concede. Ah, well. On to the next game. On the play for our last game, this is going to be a mulligan. This is better. And we'll bottom 1 Acolyte. We don't need to. Play Blossoming Sands. Pass the turn. Servant of the Scale is pretty good. We'll cast the Acolyte. That way, if we draw an untapped land, we can play Wildwood Scourge and outlast the Acolyte. They play a Prismari Pledge Mage, so we're not attacking through that. We'll cast a Wildwood Scourge. Pass the turn. Island into Agar, the Freezing Flame. That's troubling. Let's cast Servant of the Scale into Outlast Arcus Acolyte. No attacks, and pass the turn. Hopefully no removal for our Scourge. Like their Agar, the Freezing Flame, is pointing to. They cast Maelstrom Muse. Okay, so we're safe. For now. Tenacious Pup, don't mind if I do. Or do we just Pollen Bright Druid? Proliferate. No, let's go with Star Pupil. That only gets Wildwood Scourge up to 5. We want it bigger. Let's Pollen Bright Druid now. We have a second one anyway, so Proliferate. That gets Wildwood Scourge up to a 6/6. And Arcus Acolyte able to block the Maelstrom Muse. So now that our board is pretty chunky, we can block successfully, and we can start dumping out these 1 and 2 drops. Umara Mystic. They changed it so it has haste now. Interesting. In Maelstrom Muse, they also changed it so it only costs 3 mana instead of 4, which is a great change. Because now it's, like, decently playable. Unluckily for them, they did not notice that the Acolyte is an archer that has reach. Will Tenacious Pup into Star Pupil. It grows. It grows! Next turn, we can outlast the Pollen Bright Druid, and then cast a Pollen Bright Druid, pumping our entire board. Okay, Thundering Rebuke. They do get to draw a card, but we get to move our counters onto the Wildwood Scourge. And now it has Vigilance and Trample. So that's going to be hard for them to deal with. Or, you know, they can just bounce it like a coward. Coward. Real men deal with problems head on and take the damage. Just kidding. They draw another card. Okay, Song of Freyalise is pretty good. We'll be able to do some fun stuff soon. But for now, Wildwood Scourge for 1, or Tenacious Pup Wildwood Scourge. Let's go with Tenacious Pup Wildwood Scourge. For 0. No attacks, and pass the turn. Maybe we should have put the counters on the Acolyte. That way Umara Mystic couldn't have swung in the first place, and we would be able to outlast all of these creatures. Yeah. You win some, you lose a few hundred. Faraday's Fireball. Yeah, we definitely should have put the counters on the Acolyte, because I just remembered Wildwood Scourge gets counters if we put on other things anyway. Counters here. Grow the Wildwood Scourge. They Thundering Rebuke the pup. That's rude. Plus side, our Scourge isn't dead though, so happy days. We're back to 20. We cast Perish Blade. And we'll hold Pollen Bright Druid for next turn, where we can grow this Wild Scourge to a mighty beast, as long as they don't kill it. You've already used 3 removal spells. All around me are familiar faces. Worn out. No, that's copyright, probably. I'm not sure how singing the song and copyright works. They cast Expressive Iteration. What you get, OP? Have you played your land for turn? They have played their land for turn. So, exiling a land will help. Just another Thundering Rebuke. Yeah, we'll just concede. We can't end on a loss, so let's play one more game. On to the next one. On the play, this hand's missing green, so we're going to have to mulligan. This is much better. We'll keep and bottom the tap land. We'll cast the Tenacious Pup, followed by Bondkin or Scourge. Both are great. And definitely both are worthy of being the Tenacious Pup's pump. But which is better? The Bondkin? Probably Flyers, so best just be big. Let's go with the Wildwood Scourge. Grow it into a 2/2. Pass a turn. And next turn we can Song of Freyalise, tap the Tenacious Pup, cast Bondkin. I like that. They cast Flutterfox, so they might be artifacts instead, which is definitely valid. Tap this for white, cast Bonkin, First Strike Scourge. We can swing in for 1, and then second main phase, tap it to use Star Pupil. Or cast Star Pupil. Grow the Scourge. Pass the turn. Bonkin's looking pretty good. Light up the way. Interesting. Interesting card. Wasn't even that great in limited. No blocks. Oh, Pollen Bright Druid. Nice. Outlast. We'll save Pollen Bright Druid for next turn. Swing. Pass the turn. That way we can pump all of the creatures with counters and then proliferate. Maximum damage. Cloak of the Bat. It's like a Voltron style kind of deck. They hold back the Flutterfox, or do they? They don't. Well, now they're just dead. Great way to finish the video. Some counters on the Scourge. Pollen Bright Druid. Proliferate. And they concede. Good games, opponent. Good games. So, all in all, I think the deck is super powerful in this Artisan format. It doesn't require any removal. It just oversizes our opponent's creatures and just smashes them in the face with some big, chunky creatures. Conclave Mentor is a great way to get extra counters. Wildwood Scourge gets ginormous. And Pollen Bright Druid pumping our entire board is amazing. And yeah, the entire deck worked out really well. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It means a lot to me.